Hello and welcome to Amigos IAS. I'm Adnan. In today's segment, we'll be discussing National Framework for Climate Services. This topic can be asked in GS3, Environment and Conservation and Climate Change, or it can be asked in prelims as well. So let us try to understand what this National Framework for Climate Services is. Last week, there was a conference held by Indian Meteorological Department (IMD) under Ministry of Earth Sciences in Pune regarding this National Framework for Climate Services. So, what is this basically about? We are trying to launch for the first time a maiden national level framework. What is the purpose here? We want to create a unified platform for climate services and information. So, this point will always be recurring in our lecture: climate services and climate information. These two are the keywords for us to understand. Now, climate change is a very pressing concern which we all are facing these days. The impacts of climate change are what? Extreme weather events, because of which there have been severe calamities like droughts, sometimes floods, sometimes you have this hurricanes, cyclones, and whatnot. So, all these extreme weather events impact our human lives. They affect our livelihood. And the food security also. It causes diseases. So, it damages infrastructure. So all these things are interrelated. So we need to find a way to deal with this climate change, and we need to bring climate services and provide the proper data for us so that we are able to predict any kind of disaster which is going to happen, and we'll be prepared in advance for that. So we will discuss that in detail. So National Framework for Climate Services is done by whom? What is the nodal agency? India Meteorological Department. It is under the Ministry of Earth Sciences. Okay, so ministries also are important for the prelims purposes. Ministry of Earth Sciences. Now, what is this based on? Is it from India only? No, it is based on Global Framework for Climate Services. So, India is launching its own national framework. But what is the model for us? The Global Framework for Climate Services. What is that? It is actually an initiative which has been taken in 2009 by World Meteorological Organization, which is a UN agency for the climate and weather related things. Okay, and they have convened a conference called as World Climate Conference number 3. In this conference in 2009, this initiative was taken. Okay, so it's not a new thing, it is an old one. India is doing it now. Already India was supposed to do it at the time itself, but because of various reasons it could not. So what is this GFCS? What is this Global Framework for Climate Services? We need to mainstream the climate science into decision making at every level and help that every country, every climate sensitive sector of society, everyone should be having what? Access, and they have to access to have what? Climate information. And whatever information you get, you have to apply it also. It means, what is climate information? I have to give information about the droughts which are going to happen, or floods which are going to happen, or any kind of famine which is going to happen. So all these things can be possible only with data. And once you have the information about this, then you will be able to alert the people, alert the systems. So we need to have what? Collaboration of governments and groups to counter the climate change. That is what is GFCS. That means everybody will be a part of this, whether it is the political bodies, whether it is the researchers, scientists, okay, communities, peoples, policy planners, means the government. Everybody is a part of it. Means everybody is a stakeholder here. We need collaboration between each and every single aspect. Only then, if they share the information, we'll be able to avert any kind of disaster, or we'll be able to mitigate the disaster. Fine. So what happens here? High quality data is required from what? From national, international database. On what factors? Temperature, rainfall, wind, soil moisture, and ocean conditions, and other important phenomena which affects the weather system. So all these impact the weather: temperature, rainfall, wind, soil moisture, etc. So this is aimed at creating what? We need long-term historical average of these parameters. Long-term impact of what is rainfall, how it is, wind conditions, soil conditions. We need long term data for this, because once I have the long term data, it will help me in the future aspects, like to map the risk quotients, to have the vulnerability analysis, okay, assessments, long term prediction of the climate, how it is going to be. All this is impacting us, it is going to help us. So as you can see on the screen, what are the important components of this particular GFCS global framework, okay, on climate information? What is that? User interface platform is one. research, modeling, and prediction. We have to improve this a lot for accurate research, building the capacity of the people to withstand any kind of disasters, proper climate service information system, okay, observation and monitoring by having lot of good radars and other important equipment to monitor the climate and the weather. Fine. So this is these are the important what five type of components. And what are the priority sector areas? That means in which sectors we are going to concentrate more for the for the water resources, because we have to safeguard our water sources. Health is an important component. If you are unhealthy, the country will not also be prospering. Energy requirements are the most important aspect of our day-to-day lives. Reducing disaster risk reduction because of extreme weather events, and agriculture and food security is also very important. Already UPSC asked a question this year, what, like impact of climate change on food security. So GS3, very important question, students. So please focus on the interlinking of all these aspects with respect to climate change, because the productivity, the yield of crops, everything is going to be impacted because of extreme weather events. So please link all this together. Why the NFCS is required for India? We have a nodal agency called IMD. It is going to enter into 150 years of existence this year in December. And what is their track record? Of course, they have given us excellent information regarding the weather services, not only for India but also for our neighboring countries as well. Like daily weather forecasts, season predictions are there for various seasons. IMD will give its report like how the rainfall is going to be, or what kind of like cyclone is going to come, and what is going to be the impact. Everything IMD will tell us. So the accuracy of its weather and seasonal forecasts for the monsoons, cyclones, heat waves also, cold waves, thunderstorms, lightning, snowfall, flash flood, all these warnings are given. It affects India a lot. Fine. So this system of giving this weather is already improved a lot in the recent years. But in the over the past few decades, they have upgraded the radar stations, also weather observation stations, also everything is done. But problem is there are some gaps. Even though IMD is doing great work, what is that? In different terrains, whether it is oceans, whether it is the seas, we don't have proper weather data, and we don't have the long term average. That means at least 100 years of data from the regions of Himalayas, oceans, and also we don't have proper radar and satellite based climatology for these regions and terrains. For because of this reason only, IMD is having limitations in providing climate predictions, because if it is not giving the accurate climate predictions, we are going to face a lot of problems. We have seen recently, of course, man-made disasters also are there apart from natural disasters. Most of them are natural disasters, and they are actuated. They're actually exacerbated by the anthropogenic activities. So whether it is any kind of flash floods or Sikkim, Libya, anything, okay, any cyclones also, all these things impact our livelihood, security of people. So we need to have long term data to predict these things. Like see here, typically long term example, decadal predictions of how the weather is going to be, how the climate is going to impact. Of course, climate is a long term average, so weather is the current temporary aspect. Okay, so understand the difference between climate and weather as well. Okay, with NFCS, what happens? The IMD is going to strengthen the observational network on land, seas, and also improve the data inflow, and which is used to help it for the climate models and weather model. It means we are going to improve or enhance the way we use the data by involving various stakeholders also. We are going to have a proper data flow. By that we will be able to improve our predictions as well. Okay, suitable to the user's needs, climate data and information products will be tailored because specific to India's various zones. We need to identify what agricultural production, how it is going to be, health trends, population distribution in high risk areas, road and infrastructure mapping, because we need to know this for the delivery of goods and other important socio-economic items. For that, how infrastructure has to be there, what kind of impact, for example, long term impact is going to be there because of a cyclone in a particular country state like Odisha. All these aspects we need to have proper information. So that means data is required for that. By involving the governments, researchers, policy planners, we're able to extract some important data here. That means this framework will help what to prepare for new climate conditions which are inevitable these days, and how it is going to impact on water supplies, health risks, extreme events, farm productivity, infrastructure placement, power, energy generation. For example, if I say, this all may look abstract to you, but for example, if I say a country like Mali is there in West Africa, landlocked country, it is frequently affected by droughts. Many countries do not have enough systems to alert the people. That means at least radio systems are not there in many countries to alert the farmers about the impending, weather, how it is going to be, what type of crops have to be, you know planted in various seasons. This data is not there. Or warning system for floods, this is also not there in many of the countries. That is why it is important for us to have proper climate information, and we have to always take care about the reduction of the disaster risk. So all these components will play a role. Fine. So what the NFCCS will do, it will be in line with the international global framework. It is based on country specific weather. That means what is the country specific means here what India's weather systems, okay, and different stakeholders in India. So unlike the global framework, okay, India's framework is managed by IMDs and node agency. Already we have discussed this. Okay, along with the identified sector. That means already we have seen the 5 priority sectors. Apart from that, we can add transport sector, tourism sector also, and any other sectors also we can add as stakeholders or as priority areas where we need to share the data, where we need to have the proper information. Okay, initially this NFCS will work what in removing the gaps between various agencies who require climate services. So it could be any department, agriculture department, irrigation department, or renewable energy. All these people, okay, we need to integrate all of them. See, hydrological power, renewable energy, transportation sector, dams and irrigation, health agencies, both on all levels, central, state, and other regional levels also, or the local levels also. We need to map all of them. For example, if any disease outbreak is going to happen, we need to have a proper framework, right? That we have to share the data about how this disease is going to spread. That means the stakeholders are what? Health agencies, central, state, and all levels in India. We need to properly inform the outbreak. What are the conditions for this? Only Kerala is able to find out what is the reason why Nipah virus is coming. Other states do not have adequate health systems to warn the states about various diseases. So we need to have this information shared at every level. So like that, we need to have what? Proper climate services and climate information. That is the major thrust of this aspect. So on the screen, as you can see, this is from South Africa. So I just took it from their website to make you understand like what are the important sectors which are impacted because of climate. See, disaster risk reduction is there here. Okay, and one, health sector, water resources management, very important for us because water is a source of life for us. Agriculture and food security, important for our life and livelihood. Human settlements also are going to be impacted because of climate change. Infrastructure will be affected. Transportation, biodiversity, oceans and coast, energy. Like this in South Africa, they have made this particular chart of how they are going to implement this national framework for climate services in their country. Similarly, India also has to expand more and more priority sectors. Many countries like Switzerland, China, UK, they already are implementing this. And now India is also going to implement this aspect. Okay. So what is the next one here? So that's the end of this particular lecture. If you have questions, do ask in the comment box. So a question with reference to national framework for climate services, which of these two statements are correct? First one, it is based on global framework for climate services. Second one, the IMD which implements this is an agency of the Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change. So in these two options, which are correct, you have to just give the answer. Please post in the comment box. So I'll see you tomorrow again with next topic. Thank you.